TitleMatchNetwork.com.
Thoughts on Bobby Heenan?
I love him. He's my brother. I love him to death. He was always my hero when I first developed the Percy Pringle gimmick. The jackets and the blonde hair and everything. It was Bobby Heenan. And just a few months ago, I got to sit with Bobby at one of the wrestling reunions up here in the Northeast, and I got to sit just me and him by ourselves, and I got to tell him exactly what I think about him. How much I love him and how much he meant to me, still does mean to me, and to my character and all that. And it was a very personal moment, and Bobby Heenan, we love him to death. No bad words for Bobby.
As far as Vince Russo and Ed Ferrer go, what were your thoughts on them?
Here's another one. I never really ever had a problem with Vince Russo. As a matter of fact, he had a show here about 2 months ago in Rome, Georgia, for his new Christian organization that he has, a Ring of Glory, and I was on his show. And I had a great time. All the TNA guys were there, Jeff Jarrett, AJ Styles, and Terry Taylor, I can go on and on and on. I had a blast. And when Vince Russo first, of course I was there when Vince started making his appearance, he would hang out at the back door of the arenas. Around New York and Hartford, he had a little radio show. You remember Vince or whatever,
John Resy,
whatever the hell it was, and trying to get interviews for the boys and shit. And that's where I first had my experiences with him. And then the story. He got involved in the company and being Taker's sidekick and shit. Taker being on top. We never had any real problems there because he didn't have anything to do with our shit.
Right.
Like I said earlier, Vince trusted us enough to where he allowed us a lot of creative liberty there. So Vince Russo never had a lot of problems, a lot of input on our stuff. So we never really bumped heads. So we just stood back and watched from afar and watched what he did and what he done. I guess what he done and what he contributed to WCW, and that downfall there. And people say, well, Vince Russo killed WCW. I wouldn't say it was entirely Vince Russo's fault. It was a number of things.
Oh, yeah.
One person didn't do that. It's a combination of a lot of things. But we talked. Me and Vince talked every once in a while. Like I said, I was on the show. And similar to the other guys you've asked me about, I don't have any personal problem with Vince Russo at all. I don't. That's the true story. That's exactly how that happened.
What are your thoughts on Paul Heyman?
I never have really had a lot of relationship with Paul because we were always different places at different times, and the only place that we were always aware of each other because we were peers more or less as being managers in the business. But my only run, working with him was in WWF, WWE.
You worked in the office and stuff. Like you talked about the pressures of being in the office. How is John Laurinaitis? We've done a lot of interviews with people that say he's very cutthroat and
I hear that. Damn it, but you got to be. To have that job, you've got to be that way. There's no way in hell that you can have that job that he feels, that position. That's his job.
Right.
He's between Vince and the talent. It's his job to be the bad boy. He's the bad boy. He plays it well, As far as myself, we never butted heads or anything. He was always straight up with me and shit, and But unfortunately in wrestling, there's certain positions that you have to fill, and that's one of them. Being in talent relations, where you got to be the bearer of bad news and hire and fire, and slap hands every once in a while and fine, and that's what you got to do.
A lot of politics in that office.
Yeah, I guess so.
But it's like that in the corporate world too.
Absolutely, it's a business just like anything else, and once again, I'll mention I was kind of immune from that. Because thank God for the Undertaker. He always took care of me.
What about Abdullah the Butcher? Thoughts of
I got to manage Abby a few times in Florida. Wahoo had done a thing where they'd done this bounty hunter deal where there'd be a bounty hunter coming in every week. Ric Flair would send a bounty hunter in to get Wahoo. Mm-hmm. And Dory Funk Jr. came in. So whoever the bounty hunter was at the time, I got to be the manager of it.
Right.
So I got to manage Dory Funk Jr. Oh my God, here I am walking to the ring with Dory Funk Jr. The first World Championship match I ever saw, in my life as a fan at all. was Dory Funk Jr. when he had the belt. You know, whatever years that was, I guess about 70, 68, 70, 71, somewhere around there. And I was in high school. So I got to manage Dory Funk Jr. and Abby was one that they sent in. And I got to manage Abdullah the Butcher. And, my God, I was just marking out. It's like, yeah, fuck. It was a treat to manage all those guys.
I guess Gary Hart was also in the territory at the time in World Class.
Yes.
How was Gary Hart to work with?
Gary, we had good times and bad times. Right now, I mean, looking back, I think of him as a dear friend, but I can remember where we had some rough times. And
was it because there's rivalries and stuff for the spot?
Yeah, and now I can understand why. Gary was a booker for a while too.
After Brody, or
well, during the same time, they were kind of co-bookers there. It was Gary and Brody and
like a little
Buck Robley.
Buck
Robley. Yeah, it was kind of a booking committee. Then when Frank left, you know, Gary Hart was the booker. And thinking back, you know, Gary was a manager and I was a manager too. So if you're the booker, you know, who you gonna put over, yourself or Percy Pringle?
Right.
So I can understand all that now, and I can appreciate that. And I think we have a better friendship for that, because I recently got to see him at the Cauliflower Alley Club last year, and we just had a fabulous time sitting back talking about all the old days. But I can remember there was a little tension there, you know, when he would have stuff done to me, right? Well, he'd have me painted yellow. And then I found out that all the boys pissed in the paint, you know. So I got painted yellow, was piss yellow, and real yellow paint.
Huh.
Thank you, Matt Bourne, for that one.
Huh.
And you hang me from the roof of the sportatorium, you know, and all the little deals. And they said, you know, well, Percy do anything. Yeah, Percy would do anything. I did.
Huh.
But Gary, you know, I don't have anything bad to say about Gary. I really don't.
Now, in closing, is there anything you want to say?
Closing? I'm not done yet.
Good. Let's keep on going then. If you have anything else to say. Do you have a lot more questions? I guess in closing, unless you have anything else you want to talk about.
No. Hey, it's 20 minutes to 2 in the morning.
Exactly. We got to get up.
We're in New York. Where are we going?
We're going out.
I remember we used to go downtown.
Show us.
Don't think so. Go to my room.
Exactly. Is there anything you want to say to your fans out there that you never had a chance to say to them before?
No, I think that if you're my fan, you know me, and I know you. And we thank you and we love you, and we're still here. You know how to find us. www.percypringle.com or www.gulfsouthwrestling.com. I'm that close. And I take pride in the fact that I answer every email that I get. I don't care how stupid it is, and I know the ones that are really me.
TitleMatchNetwork.com